30 minutes ago. Again and again, HYB bans Jungkook and other BTS members from attending Jin BTS final solo tour concert in Amsterdam. What happened? In just a matter of minutes, shocking news once again shook the BTS fan community around the world. Internal reports state that HYB, as the agency managing BTS, once again took a firm step by banning Jungkook, as well as several other BTS members from being physically present at the final concert of Jin BTS Run Seekjin solo tour at Ziggo Dome Amsterdam. This decision instantly sparked an inevitable wave of questions. Why is such an important moment in Jin's solo career instead overshadowed by a repeated internal ban? The decision is said to have been announced only moments before the information about the special guest list was released. Sources familiar with the situation stated that this policy was not the first to be implemented, but rather a continuation of a series of restrictions that had occurred in previous concerts. The fact that this tour finale was supposed to be the peak celebration of Jin's solo journey made this ban stand out even more. The public questions whether HYB is crafting a certain narrative behind the scenes, or simply adhering to strategic considerations not explicitly disclosed. Interestingly, this news comes amid high anticipation from ARMY, who for months have been hoping to witness an emotional reunion of BTS members on the final stage of Jin's solo tour. Such expectations grew stronger after speculation emerged about the possibility of some BTS members' attendance as a form of direct support. Yet, the reality turned out to be the opposite. The ban was reinstated, leaving room for speculation and genuine disappointment among fans. Till this moment, HYB has not provided any clear official statement regarding the specific reasons behind the policy. Some music industry analysts believe this move may be related to strict management agendas, schedule coordination, or even strategies to control public exposure of the members. However, without direct confirmation, all such explanations remain speculative. The situation became even more dramatic when unofficial information began circulating that there would be a special guest performing at this closing concert, whose identity is being kept secret until the very last second. Speculation ran wild. Whether this guest came from the international music scene, or perhaps an unexpected figure with an emotional connection to Jin. For some ARMY, this mystery could be an emotional compensation for their disappointment over the absence of Jungkook and other BTS members. For Jin himself, this tour finale holds tremendous emotional weight. After performing a series of concerts in various cities worldwide, Ziggo Dome Amsterdam becomes the final stop designed to deliver both a grand closure and an intimate moment for fans. However, the absence of some groupmates who have long been an integral part of BTS' story adds a layer of complexity to the moment. Many believe that regardless of internal policy, the emotional bond between Jin and his fellow members will not fade, even if direct onstage interaction must be postponed. On social media, ARMY's reaction has been massive. Protest hashtags began to emerge, with some demanding transparency from HYB, while others chose to focus on curiosity toward the promised special guest. Within hours, discourse in the global fan community turned into a mixture of disappointment, curiosity, and high expectations for the surprise Jin might be preparing. This phenomenon again affirms how every move involving BTS and their agency always becomes the focus of intense attention, both artistically and in terms of management strategy. The public is now faced with two parallel narratives. On one hand, the disappointment over member attendance restrictions at such a key moment. On the other, the suspense built by the mystery of the special guest at the tour's peak. The lingering question, is this ban truly purely due to technical and strategic reasons, or is there another dimension deliberately hidden from the public? ARMY can only wait until the stage at Ziggo Dome finally opens tonight to see what surprises will be revealed, and whether that moment will be strong enough to overshadow the disappointment already formed. One thing is certain. The final Run Seekjin solo tour in Amsterdam has shifted from being merely a music event to a global occurrence full of emotion, speculation, and behind-the-scenes drama. Whatever happens, tonight will be recorded in BTS history, not only as the conclusion of Jin's solo journey, but also as a chapter that ARMY around the world will continue to discuss. Although the news of HYB's ban on Jungkook and other BTS members from attending the final Run Seekjin solo tour in Amsterdam has spread so quickly, one fundamental question still must be asked. To what extent can this information truly be accounted for? Are the public now witnessing a real event reflecting the company's internal decision? Or are we actually part of a scenario deliberately crafted to create global attention? We must remember that the information circulating so far has come from various channels, from short TikTok videos, snippets of YouTube live streams, Twitter posts, to several online media outlets publishing news with similar narratives. But have we ensured that each piece of information has gone through a strict verification process? What if most of that content is simply repeating information from the same source, without independent checks on its accuracy? Phenomena like this are nothing new in the digital media era. Unverified information often spreads faster than official clarifications, especially when it involves globally influential figures like BTS. The question is, are the public, including ARMY, ready to face the possibility that this band drama is merely part of a promotional strategy, or even a narrative fabrication designed to raise tension ahead of the main event? Or conversely, is this truly an internal policy consistent with previous patterns of restriction? As an audience, we are faced with a dilemma. On one hand, there is the desire to believe that this incident is purely spontaneous, born from unforeseen internal dynamics. On the other hand, there is the awareness that the modern entertainment industry often exploits elements of controversy and surprise as marketing tools. In this context, is it not reasonable for us to question the motives behind every piece of news that surfaces? Is this merely a factual report? Or is there a certain interest shaping the narrative? It should be remembered that although some social media accounts claim to have trusted sources, such claims cannot always serve as a basis for truth. Without concrete evidence or official statements that can be verified, the public should place themselves in a skeptical position. Why? Because too often, news that provokes emotions, whether anger, disappointment, or excitement, becomes the most effective tool to steer mass opinion. Could this be what is happening right now? Furthermore, we must consider how this narrative shapes audience expectations for Jin's final concert. Is the public being led to focus on the absence of Jungkook and other members, so that the moment the special guest appears later feels far more dramatic? Or is this band truly a crucial point revealing internal tensions behind the scenes of BTS? Without valid data, we cannot be certain. Here lies the importance of a critical attitude. Rather than merely following the emotional flow shaped by fast-paced news, we should ask, who first spread this information? Do the media carrying it have a credible track record? Is this news accompanied by visual evidence whose authenticity is beyond doubt? Or is all of this sourced solely from statements that cannot be verified? It is also important to question the ultimate purpose of such reporting. Do the media and content creators sharing it truly intend to inform? Or are they merely seeking to profit from high audience engagement? There are many cases where such sensational news eventually proves inaccurate, even entirely false, yet has already shaped public perception. Are we willing to be part of such an unhealthy information cycle? In addition, ARMY and the wider public need to realize that without official confirmation from the relevant parties, all information remains provisional. The fact that news sources come from platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter may provide an initial glimpse of the situation, but is not enough to conclude the truth. Each circulating piece of information should be seen as part of an incomplete puzzle, not as an absolute truth. Finally, the biggest question we must ask ourselves is, when the Ziggo Dome stage opens and the special guest actually appears, will it prove all this speculation correct or completely disprove it? Will this band drama end up as a factual piece of BTS history, or just a small note in the long list of entertainment industry rumors? Before we react emotionally or spread this information further, let us remember that skepticism is not blind distrust, but rather an effort to protect ourselves from information manipulation. In an era where the line between reality and fabrication is increasingly blurred, the ability to question, verify, and delay judgment becomes the most important weapon for a public that wishes to remain wise. And in the end, only time and concrete evidence will answer, is this reality, or merely a story crafted for sensation?